Hi everybody, so today we're going to be working on word problems that are involving polynomials. So I would like to do the try list. The try list says a rectangular garden has a length of 40 feet and a width of 30 feet. Find the perimeter of the garden and the area of the garden. So put me on pause, might want to draw yourself a picture, try to recall what perimeter is and what area is. So put me on pause, give it a try, and then come back and check your answers. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to draw a picture, and I do have a rectangle. So here's my rectangle. And I know the length is 40 feet, and the width is 30 feet. So it says, the first thing it says is to find the perimeter. So hopefully you remember perimeter is the distance around an object. And how do we find this? Well, what we do is we add all the sides. Okay, so let's do that. So I have here, my length is 40. And remember, it is a rectangle, so opposite that side would be the same thing. So that would mean that this side is also 40 feet. And the width is 30, so the other side would be 30 also feet. All right, so let's find the perimeter. So remember, perimeter is add up all the sides. So we have 40 plus 40 plus 30 plus 30. And that you could just plug into your calculator. And when you add them all up, you get 140 feet. Okay, so now let's talk about area. Okay, so remember, area is the space inside an object. And for a rectangle, how do we find the area of a rectangle? That's an arrow. So we'll do it like this. So we don't have to keep writing rectangle. That's equal to length times width. All right, so let's find the area of this rectangle. So the area of the rectangle, remember, is length times width. So it's 30 times 40. So the area of your rectangle is equal to 1,200 square feet. So you really only have to worry about putting down the dimensions like feet, centimeters, inches, really only if there's different dimensions and you had to convert. So if you just wrote 1,200, that would be okay. All right, so let's take a look at the word problem. Sorry, my dog is barking. Okay, so here's just a little bit of guidelines when you work with word problems. So the first thing I want you to do is identify the questions that need to be answered. Then identify how you're going to answer the question, and then answer the problem. So let's take a look at number 1. So number 1 says a rectangle has a length of 5x to the third minus x squared plus 4 and a width of x. Find the perimeter and the area of the polynomial in polynomial form in terms of x. Okay, so let's see. The first thing we want to do is find the perimeter, right? Find perimeter. So let's write that down. 1 is to find the perimeter. Actually, what I'm going to do is this. Let me get rid of that. I'm going to draw my picture first. Okay. So I have my rectangle. The length is 5x cubed minus x squared plus 4. And the width is x. So we want to find, one of the things we want to find is the perimeter. So I'm going to put that here. Find perimeter. All right, and how do we find perimeter? So hopefully you remember from up top, we add all the sides. Okay, so I wrote down what I needed to do. Another thing we need to find, number 2, is the area. And for a rectangle, area of a rectangle is length times width. And one of the other things that we have to do in the end is find the perimeter if we know x is equal to 5. So I'm going to put this down here. Find perimeter if x equals 5, and we're going to find the area if x equals 5. Okay, so let's start with finding the perimeter. So remember, perimeter, we add up all the sides, so this is also 5x cubed minus x squared plus 4. That's a cube. And this side here is x. Sorry, I went to a highlighter by accident. And this side here is x. All right, so let's start by finding the perimeter. So P equals, so we're going to have 5x to the third. Sorry, I didn't give you guys enough room, but just try to squeeze in there. X squared plus 4 plus 5x cubed minus x squared plus 4 plus x plus x. All right, so what do we do? Well, we combine like terms. So we have 5x cubed here and 5x cubed here. That's 10x cubed. Remember, we just add the coefficients. Negative x squared and negative x squared, right? So that's negative 1 and negative 1. That's negative 2 x squared. And then we have x and x in the back here. Oh, sorry, I wrote 4 instead of x. Sorry, my bad. This should be x here. So we have x and x here. X plus x is 2x. And then we have here 4 plus 4, and that's plus 8. Okay. And let's finish it up. And it says find the perimeter if x equals 5. So we're going to plug in x is 5. So P equals 10 times 5 cubed minus 2 times 5 squared plus 2 times 5 plus 8. All right, and that you can just plug in your calculator all at one time. And what we get is 1,218. All right, so let's do the area. So I'm just going to get rid of some of this stuff here. Okay, so remember, in order to find the area of a rectangle, we do length times width. So we're going to do x times 5x to the third minus x squared plus 4, length times width. So all we do is just distribute the x. So the area of your rectangle would be, so distribute the x times 5x to the third would be 5x to the fourth. Remember, multiply, you add the exponents, 5x to the fourth. And then we have x times negative x squared would be negative x to the third. And then we have x times 4 would be 4x. Okay, and then we have to find the area when x is 5. So we're going to plug in x is 5. So the area is going to be 5 times 5 to the 4th minus 5 to the 3rd plus 4 times 5. All right, and then you just plug that into your calculator. And we get 3,020. Okay, so let's take a look at number 2. Okay, so let's read this. The cost of a new video game at Walmart is represented by C of x equals 12x plus 1. So that's the cost. The number of video games Walmart sold is represented by S of x equals 8x plus 5. Find the polynomial that represents the revenue. Okay, so let's write down what revenue is. Let's just write that over here because some of you guys might not know what revenue is. So the revenue is how how much a store collected in how much the store collected from the sales, not the profit. So it's just how much the store collected in money sales. Okay, so this is not profit. Okay, this is just how much money the store took in when they sold the video games. Okay, so let's write down what we need to find, like we did up top. So we need, we're finding one thing. We're going to find the revenue. So how do we find revenue? So the revenue, so think about this. If McDonald's sells 10 cheeseburgers, and each cheeseburger is $2. Okay, so they sold 10 cheeseburger. Each cheeseburger is $2. How would you figure out how much the store took in for cheeseburgers? Well, you would multiply. You would take the number of cheeseburgers, which is 10, and multiply that by 2, which is how much each cheeseburger is. So that would mean they brought in $20, okay, for cheeseburger sales. That's called your revenue. So we're going to multiply. So let's write that down, multiply. Okay, so we're going to multiply 12x plus 1. That's how much each game cost. And how many games were sold. So that's 8x plus 5. So we're multiplying the two binomials together. All right, so are you guys ready? We have here, so we'll double distribute here. So we have 12x times 8x would be 96x squared. Remember, multiply, you add the exponents. 12x times 5 would be 60x. 1 times 8x is 8x. And 1 times 5 is 5. And now we'll just combine the like terms in the middle. So we have 96x squared. 60x plus 8x is 68x. And then we have plus 5. So that represents the revenue of what Walmart brought in money for the video games. All right, so let's take a look at number 3. Okay, so number 3 says the area of a rectangle is 15x to the 5th, y to the 4th, minus 3x squared, y to the 3rd, plus 30x to the 4th, y squared. And the width can be represented by 3x squared, y squared. Find the polynomial that represents the length. Okay, so let's draw a picture here. And you have the area, right? So you have that middle piece already, right? So area equals 15x to the 5th, y to the 4th, minus 3x squared, y to the 3rd, plus 30x to the 4th, y squared. And then they give you the width. They give you this piece here, 3x squared, y squared. And we need to find this piece. We need to find the length. Okay, so let's also write that down. So what I want to do is I want to find the length. Now, how are we going to do that? How are we going to find the length? So think about it. Think about this. In order to find the area, we do length times width, correct? Right, we do length times width. But I already have the area. So normally I would do this times this to get the middle. So how do I go backwards the other way? Well, think about going backwards of multiplying. What's backwards of multiplying? The backwards of multiplying is dividing. So think about this also. If I have the area and the width, and I'm looking for the length, opposite of times, think about solving an equation, would be divide. So we are going to divide. Okay, so opposite, remember, opposite of multiplying is dividing. So let's take the area, so which is 15 x to the 5th, y to the 4th, divided by 3x squared, y squared, minus 3x squared, y to the 3rd, divided by 3x squared, y squared, plus 30x to the 4th, y squared, divided by 3x squared, y squared. Okay, so hopefully you remember when we divide, we same basis, same x variables, you subtract the exponents. So let's start here. 15 divided by 3 is 5. X to the 5th divided by x to the 2nd, remember same basis, you subtract the exponents, so that's x to the 3rd. Y to the 4th divided by y to the 2nd is y to the 2nd. Okay, moving on. We have here 3 divided by 3. Remember, anything divided by itself reduces to 1 and 1. X to the 2nd divided by x to the 2nd. Again, that reduces to 1 and 1. And then we have y to the 3rd and y to the 2nd. That does not reduce to 1. I can divide that and get y to the 1st. Okay, so that's minus y to the 1st, which is just y. And then we have next, 30 divided by 3 is 10. Y to the 4th divided by y, x to the 4th divided by x to the 2nd is x to the 2nd. And then I have y to the 2nd divided by y to the 2nd. Remember, anything divided by itself is equal to 1 and 1. So we don't need to put the 1 down here because I already have something representing that. Okay, so that's it, and I hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you guys tomorrow.